Welcome everybody, it is me, it is the Cyber Warrior, and once again you are here on Cyber Warrior Studios. And you're here for what? Tech Tuesday, that's right. So today, once again, we're going to continue on our journey going through Linux basics for hackers because I am hoping to impart wisdom upon you about Linux. Cyber overlords sent me down here as always to do these things. I don't know why they get mad at me, but I always do what they say, just not right away. Anyways, so without further ado, we are going to get into Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is all about compressing and archiving. A little bit about compression. So, compression, in the most basic of terms, is taking files and making them smaller and easier to transmit. All right? So, as a beginner hacker or Linux enthusiast or somebody who's just getting into computers and Linux and Windows and all these other things, granted we use Linux around here for these lessons, there's two types of compression you need to know about. First one is lossy compression. Lossy compression is effective in reducing the size of a file, but the integrity of the information can be lost. For instance, you have .mp3, mp4, and JPEG files. They're all lossy algorithms. They're all compression algorithms, right? And so you can lose a note or a little byte of an image or a video file. And it is very, very difficult, unless you are an enthusiast, for your eye or ear to pick up that loss. So that's why they are considered lossy algorithms, because not always is the data fully transmitted. Now, the chapter we're going through, Chapter 9, is all focusing on lossless compression. All right, meaning no data is lost. None at all. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's get over, and let's get into our Linux box, shall we? So here we are. Once again, we're on Kali Linux, and we are logged into our terminal as root while we switch users. Y'all know how it is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about tarring files. Tarring files basically archives them. So a little bit about tarring. Tarring is a archaic reference that actually stands for tape archive. Yeah, that's right, tape archive. Anybody who doesn't know what it is, go ahead back, Google it, look it up. It is an old form of archiving data. But when you are tarring something and you are tarring a file, it can be called an archive, a tar file, or a tarball. And again, this is all within Linux. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what we got here. We're going to do ls-l. So I have here 3 shell scripts. 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rename one of these. I'm actually going to copy it. So we're going to do copy, welcome, and we're also going to call that one, we're just going to call it we're going to call that one cyber warrior.sh. Okay. And then we're going to copy my SQL scanner, and we're going to call that one cyber warrior 2. No. Yeah, I'm going to call it 2.sh. It'll make our lives easier. And then we're going to get one more, AB, and this is going to be 3. So I'm doing this for a reason. Don't worry, bear with me. All right. And so now, if I do ls-l, have a few more files, but makes my life easier. All right, and actually, let's change that Cyber Warrior. So move Cyber Warrior dot sh, and that's actually going to be renamed to 1.sh. Clear. There we go. All right, coolio. Now we got what we're looking for. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to archive these, or we're going to create a tar file or a tar ball. All right, so we're going to pick our 3 files. So we're going to say tar-cvf. All right, and then we're going to call this cyber warrior.tar. And our 3 files are going to be cyber warrior 1, cyber warrior 2, and cyber warrior 3. All right, we're going to hit enter. So now, a little bit about what this command just did. So tar, which is our command to archive these files. Then you have C, all right, which is to create a new tar file. V, which is verbose. and F, which is to write to this file. This is what the new file is called, cyberwarrior.tar. So if I do ls-l, we now have this cyberwarrior.tar file right here. We didn't lose these files. The .sh files that we have are still here. All we did was create a new tar file. Okay, so now let's clear this screen. And next we're going to take a look at how we can list these. So if instead of, let's get rid of this. All right, instead of -c, if we do -t, this is actually going to list the contents of this file. So we can see what 3 files are within this tar file. All right. Now, if we wanted to extract them, so let's do this. Let's do make dir, and we're going to call this cyberwarrior dx. All right. And then we're going to do tar-xv, and we're going to say cyberwarrior.tar, and we want it to go to warrior dx and hit enter. Whoops, wrong thing. What if we just do that? All right, so now if I do this, we have all those files. It basically just overwrote them all. All right, yeah, it just overwrote what we already have there. Hence we have June 7th, which is when this was modified at 14:14, which is fine. This is why I make copies of files. Makes my life a heck of a lot easier. So we could see how many bytes these are: 354, 192, and 325. And you'll notice we still have this tar file. That didn't go anywhere. All right. But here's one thing I want to show you is if I do, let's pull up a calculator real quick. And if we say 354 plus 192 plus 325, it's 871. So 871 bytes. Yet some reason this tar file is actually larger. So our tar file right here is 10,240. Let's do one more time. Let's list this out. All right, let me clear this. All right, let's list this, and that's all that's in there. We can see what's in there. But here's what happens. When you tar a file, it adds overhead. Now, with larger files, it is not as obvious. But with our files that we have here, it's blatantly obvious that tarring that file right here created a lot of overhead, because this is actually what's there. All right, those are the 3 files. Those 3 files combined are not 10,000 bytes. It's not even 1,000 bytes. So we have that overhead. Okay, that's fine. So what if though? Bear with me. What if we wanted to compress this, right? We wanted this to be smaller. That's the whole goal right now, is compressing it. So now even though it's just one file, we want to be able to make it easier to transport. We want that data to not get denied whenever we try to upload it or move it somewhere. As we all know, there's file limits whenever we're transferring things. Plus, as a hacker, you need to understand that a lot of data, your firewalls and alert systems will catch an influx of data leaving the network. So if you're sending out a ton of data and you haven't compressed it at all, then it becomes more obvious. So let's take a look, and we're going to use a tool. Let me clear the screen. We're going to use a tool called gzip. All right, gzip, gunzip, a bunch of different things you can call it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do cyberwarrior dot. And what's that? It doesn't want that. Tar. There we go. Clear. Now if I do ll, now cyberwarrior.tar has just become gz, and you can see it dropped down to 608 bytes. So we went from 10,000 bytes to 608, which is definitely less than what we have in these 3 files. So we successfully compressed this. Well, what if we wanted to unzip it, right? We wanted to uncompress it. cyberwarrior.tar.gz. Now we have our tar file back, and once again, it is 10,240 bytes. No data loss, nothing. It is simply there. But there's another tool. The other tool for compression, and you will see this, gzip2, which gives it a different extension. Instead of gz, what we're going to get is, let's do cyberwarrior.tar. This is going to give us a .bz2 extension. All right, which is another, just all it is a different extension for compressed files. And that, again, is 650 bytes, which is still less than what our 3 files combined are. So that's awesome. So we know that works. How would we unzip this? Well, if you do clear, unzip 2, and we're going to do cyberwarrior.tar.bz2, clear, ll, and there we go. Right back to our cyberwarrior.tar with 10,240 bytes. Now, the last one, the very last compression mechanism or tool is actually just called compress. And then from there, we do cyberwarrior.tar, ll, and now that gives it a .z extension. Now, because of the size of these files and because of the way things work, this one did not compress it down to less than what our original 3 files were. So all of these are different compression mechanisms, and you can alter the way the commands are, but ideally you would use each one and figure out how to get the size you want and look at the way the different compression techniques work. But as we can see, this one here is still a larger file than what those 3 separately are. So it didn't really compress it the way that we wanted. To uncompress this, you can actually use Uncompress. Or you can also use gunzip once again. But uncompress back to 10,240 bytes. So again, these are just different ways to compress and uncompress your files, and it all varies based on extension. Gzipped files are going to be .gz. Bzip files, bzip2 files are .bz, and anything with compress is a .z. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the last part of this book, which is about making copies, bit by bit of physical copies. And there's a command within Linux that allows you to do this. Now, we are not going to do it. I am not going to be making physical or bit by bit copies of my devices, but I'm going to explain to you what the command is and how it works. So you have a command, it's called dd. All right, this will copy even deleted files. Yes, even deleted files. So even though you think you may have deleted something, unless it has been completely shredded and overwritten, dd will take anything that you have just gone in there and said, yeah, go ahead, delete this, empty the trash, whatever. dd will allow me to still get those back, unless it's been overwritten so many times. And then you use something called, you use the option if, and you use an input file, okay? And then you have OF, which is output file. All right, so that's generally the most basic part of this command and how it would work. Now, if you were going to use this to actually copy a drive, your input file is usually /dev/sdb. Your output file can be just about anything, but it will say root/copy. Now, if I actually issued that command, if I knew what SDB was on this virtual machine, I don't even know if I have one right now, then it would copy SDB, the entire drive, bit for bit, bit by bit, and make a file called /copy. That's what it would do. Now, to tack onto this, there's 2 other options that are, again, options. You don't have to use them. Input file, output file is all that's really necessary. But there's something called BS. No, not bullshit. It actually means block size. And so the default is 512 bytes. So it'll copy 512 bytes at a time. But what people normally do is set it to sector size, which generally speaking is 4096. It could be different, it could be higher, lower, but generally speaking, that's what it is. And then the other one is CONV, which is a different set of options. And you can look all this up. It doesn't even go into details in the book. It is part of the book, but it doesn't go into details. But this one is no error. Now, what no error does is it says, hey, even if you encounter an error, just keep going. Don't even worry about it. Just keep copying bit by bit by bit by bit. So that's a little bit about the DD command. Again, they don't go into too much detail in this chapter. They do mention it. So I did at least want to bring it up and show you all how this would work. But saying that, look, it has been another amazing Tech Tuesday. Linux Basics for Hackers. I'm going to show you this book again. Please, if you do not have it, go buy it. There are some explanations in there that are better than what I can give. And maybe I'm explaining things better than they can. Either way, go get it. It's worth having that physical copy on hand so that you can go through and do everything and try all this out yourself. Because there are labs in there that they ask you to do at the end of every chapter. So make sure you go do it. Saying that, look, I love you all. Please check out the description down below for any way, if you want to share, comment, go buy merchandise, all that other stuff. It's all down there. Like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you do that. And please share this video, this playlist, and everything with those that you think may benefit. Saying that, otherwise, look, I love you all. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take me up.